This is a before and after GGB mountain can install. Here is the GGB mountain can. In case you have any trouble installing it, here's a huge sledgehammer, a mur. So here's a list of the tools you'll need. A little flat blade to help out in certain spots, an extension with a 10mm, and a 17 wrench for the probe, some pliers or a spring specific tool to remove the springs, somewhat of a long Phillips, and a T20 Torx wrench, preferably with a screw gun to make things go a little quicker. And here is the huge frickin' can we're going to change out. Then get yourself a screw gun with a Torx wrench and start pulling screws. There's also two underneath inside here. After you get these two screws out, one on each side, then your storage compartment will come out and your speedometer will come off to this point. We'll unhook it so that it can pull, the cover can pull through those wires. Just above the clutch cover, there's this screw back here that goes to your air intake. You gotta loosen that up so that it will come off. Now with the wires undone, you can slide the whole plastic set forward and it'll all come off in one piece. Alright, now she's completely wide open, like she is most of winter. Hood's over there. Comes off pretty easy once you get the airbox unhooked and a few bolts around. But need to slip these exhaust clips off and get this cover off to get access to the springs and bolts. Now you're to this point, just pull those springs off. I like to use a pair of needle nose pliers. They do make specific tools for it, but I'm too cheap. Now here's the temperature probe right here. You follow its cord around down to the front and unplug this plug right here. That way you can pull the exhaust out. You'll use a 10mm on an extension to pull this, and that's the last thing holding this muffler in place. This probe has a lock washer on it that you have to bend this tab down, and then you'll be able to take the probe out. I used a small flat bit, Stanley, to bend the tab just a little bit, and then grabbed it with some needle nose pliers to straighten it out. Here's where you'll use your 17 wrench to pull the probe out. I noticed the threading on this is a little longer than the threading allowed on the can, so I'm going to use some thread lock. Get it as tight as I can. You want your probe angle coming off this direction, so when you put it on, it plugs back in to where it's supposed to go. Before you put your new can on, pull this rubber gasket out, and that's what's going to make it so you can attach it in the same spot with that 10mm. Now with the GGB exhaust in place, we haven't fully installed it yet, you can feel that it's locked into the place down here with the plastics. We'll do the 10mm bolt there, a couple springs there, and don't forget to plug in your probe. As you slide your hood back into place, make sure you get all the little places where the slide catches are. There's one on the front on each side here, and then back here where it plugs in just below the gas cap. Also, make sure your wires stay up above so you can plug everything back in. And don't forget to retighten up your airbox screw. Up in there. Yep, that guy. Put your 2 bolts back in the top here. And then you can put your storage cover and speedometer back on. After, of course, you plug everything back in, so make sure you do that, because you don't want to have to take it all apart again. Headlight bulbs. And then this is for the Speedo. So here's how to figure out the jigsaw puzzle putting this back together. Plug in your cable, your electrical cable, to the Speedo, okay? Then put your storage compartment in to its place. Lift the lid up. Now you can have space to put your Speedo, to install the Speedo back down. You'll see your holes now line up, and you can clip in the rubber grommets. And here's what the finished product looks like. Now, we just need some snow.